You'd put all of that in. In a get, you'd put all that in. In the kesuba, we're not so particular, and we would just put your Hebrew name, your full Hebrew name.
But both.
Your full name, whatever your full name is, we put full name. Ben?
How would you do Shepsel?
Shepsel.
By the way, your story, I think, is my brother.
The story happened in the 1830s. What?
Shlomo Helinsky. Because he went through your brother, and I think you're the one who did it. Shepsel, that story you told about Shepsel.
That story I told you was from a sefer that I read about a guy writing about, a brother from Buffalo writing about his father. It probably happened in the 1850s. What? Shepsel, I believe, was with you.
Shepsel is where I am.
It's you?
That's me.
Yeah?
Shmuel David Ben Shepsel.
Ben Shepsel, okay. Yeah. Right. By the way, it's funny, a lot of these things have different things, like Mendel, for example. So some spell it with the Yud, Dalet Yud Lamed, Mendel, but recently there was a thing circulating from the Rebbe where they'd written something and the Rebbe writes to them that they should spell it without a Yud. So the Rebbe spells it without a Yud, but others, if you look it up, there are others spell it with a Yud. So a lot of these things, you probably have to look up and see what's become tradition, and you can't just rely on sounding it out. And that's the same thing, that's what the value of a sefer is. A lot of places, I was going to say, like you have St. Paul, St. Louis, all these things. How do you spell that first word? So, what? So here you can't write simcha. You have to write it out properly as it is. So if you look it up in different places, they've established that some places spell it samach ayin yud nun tes. Some spell it samach aleph yud nun tes, even though it makes no sense. But that's what's established. Some spell it samach ayin nun tes. You have to look at each place, and then new places. Then you choose the which aren't established. You choose the one which makes most sense phonetically nowadays, rather than relying on tradition.
But totally different question. Somebody comes to you and says, "I'm going to get married."
Yeah.
She's been married before. Here's her get.
Yeah. Right.
I'm pretty sure this guy she was married to was also known by such and such.
Who cares about who she's not, that guy's out of the picture. Just don't know how she's, normally when a woman has a get, normally when a woman has a get, you're going to want to write in the kesuba the same thing it says in the get.
She's still married to the first guy because he's proving that the get wasn't.
Are you saying the get is not kosher?
I'm saying a guy. Right.
Okay, wait a second. We're going totally field.
A guy comes to you.
Yeah.
He says,
this woman has a get.
I'm so in love with this woman. We're gonna get we're gonna get married. I can't wait. By the way, I asked for her get. She gave it to me. Here's the get.
Yeah.
I looked over it and we talked a little bit about her ex.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently he's actually more known by this name, which doesn't appear on.
Okay, this is okay. There's a lot of layers of complications here which we don't need in order to get to the question. Your question is, if you didn't put in all the various permutations of the name of the get, is the get puzzle? That's your question. Yeah. Okay. We're here talking about kesuba, not about get. It depends. The answer to that, b'diavad, is it depends on the specifics of what was left out and how it was left out. And it might be yes, and sometimes if it's possible to go and redo it, the guy's available. The Rabbi may say to do it over again. If suppose the guy, you barely got him to do this one time, and then he took off and can't be found anywhere, then there might be more lenient. You have to know exactly the specifics of the question. What? Okay, now in the kesuba, what's that? So now, if a guy sends me a questionable get, I just bounce it back to him. I don't have to pass on what the story of this get is. Now, but in the kesuba, we'll want to use her name as it appeared in the get because you want her documents to be consistent. So if there she wasn't using her Hebrew name. Now here would be a question. She wasn't so frum then. She went only by her English name in the get. They just wrote her English name. And now she's become very frum and she goes only by her Hebrew name. Now the question is what to do now. Should we be consistent with the get or should we put in both names or what to do then? And a question like that I would refer to his rabbi to decide. I don't claim the authority to answer that question.
Comes to you and says, okay, I want you to prepare a get for me.
I don't do getting. I only did it then when I was called in to sit in the bezin with Rabbi Schwartz, and he did it. I was just there, because you need to have 3 warm bodies sitting on the bench.
If a name is wrong, if there's a detail wrong.
Yeah. Now for the Torah I would speak up, but by a get, I just follow, just went with the program. By the way, interestingly, I'm not saying that they in the CRC Bezdin, So the way they would do it, there's all kinds of things which have to be recitations by the chassan, by the husband, by the wife, by the sofer, they have to say things. The witnesses have to say things. So the way they would do it, they had a copy of Kavnaki, that's what they used. That was a great-grandfather sefer, and they passed it around, and everybody would read their lines out of Kavnaki. Because you had to get the.
Where did you get these books about names of places?
Okay, the name of the places, I forgot the name of actually, I didn't bring with me, but the author is Rabbi Senderovich of Milwaukee. Yeah. So in the second half of it, he has names of places.
He made the Arab in town.
Oh, by the way, just another thing I learned from him. Speaking of places, there's two places called Woodbury in New York.
There's a Woodbury right here.
But in New York, there's two. One is real Woodbury, upstate, and there's another place called Woodbury, which is Long Island, which is really it's not incorporated. It's really part of Oyster Bay. But everyone calls it Woodbury. So here you have a problem where even within the same state, you can have two places. You have to know. So when people send you a form, it says Woodbury. That's where asking the zip code helps. Which Woodbury are you talking about? And if it's Woodbury, so then you write Woodbury Hasmuchel Oyster Bay. Another one, you just write plain Woodbury. By the way, it would remind me of Sandarovich pointed out that Waterbury. So there's also different places. Some places they pronounce the berries. It's Waterbury, not Waterberries. So you probably would above now Ryan. You have to know the local pronunciations and stuff. There's funny stuff to pick up.
Thank you. The bottom line you learn from all this is whatever you learn, you still know nothing, right?
That's right. That's right.